Buju, wago shindagu migizi indodem, gazaga squaji mekag, indunjiba. Ndinue maganidog. Today I'd like to share a little bit about some teachings that I've received and heard over the years about how to navigate adversity. A lot of times, I think in mainstream America, we are conditioned with the value of individualism and told that if you have a problem, check your problems at the door and turn the frown upside down. People don't pretend to have problems, they pretend to be okay. And I think it's very unhealthy that we provide this kind of messaging sometimes. Something I've really appreciated within the Ojibwe culture, and I know it's true for many other indigenous cultures, is that there's a different kind of message. And the message is, if you have a problem, bring it on in here, and we will share the load. In fact, we have a saying, Gishbin wika anizagakwa gibimad win abajitun giwagakwad, meaning if there's ever a bramble in your life, pick up your axe, and it's kind of a metaphor. If things ever get hard, pick up your ways. And it's one thing to say that we are communal, which we are, and it's another thing to show people what that actually looks like. That's the axe in that metaphor. So for me, I've experienced some deaths in the family, and just recently went over to our ceremonial drum and received a ceremony called wiping the tears. And in former times, people used to rub charcoal on their face so that they wouldn't show, as a way of showing that they were in mourning. They wouldn't show excessive vanity, leaving their hair tightly braided. They'd often leave it down. Hygienic, but not showing vanity. And so there was a man who's had a death. His son passed away, and he said, I don't want anything to do with our ways, with these drums and so forth. And the people there stopped him, grabbed him by the hand, walked him around back to his seat and sat him back down and said, we're begging you to keep going with life. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. They washed the charcoal off his face. They combed and rebraided his hair. They piled up gifts asking him to go on with life. And then they had their warriors using special songs, dancing around the drum, dancing around him, and then wiping his tears and marking him with a little bit of red where the tears had fallen. And they repeated that 4 times. And then they sung a 5th song and lifted him up and brought him back into the circle and let go of him so that he'd be dancing on his own, symbolic of continuing with life. And I've been privileged to be part of doing these kinds of ceremonies for other people, and then very honored and privileged to receive having that ceremony done for me when I've had losses. It's not just this particular ceremony, but throughout things in our culture, remembering that we are not alone, that we don't have to check our problems at the door and pretend that things are okay, but we can acknowledge those things, reach out to our fellow human beings and lean on them. And we can show up and should show up and be there for other people so they can lean on us. One of the things we also tell people too is if there's a death in the family, it doesn't have to be your immediate family member in order to go to the funeral. Go there, just because they're part of the same community, and to support the other people who are going through a hard time, just because they're part of the same community. And ultimately, these actions are what makes us communal. It's not saying we are communal and saying we think of other people, but it's really showing up for each other. And I have gotten a lot of strength from my fellow humans who showed up for me, and I do my best, though imperfect though I am, at trying to show up for other people. And I think the more we can do of that, the stronger we will be as individuals and as communities. Miigwech. Thanks for watching today. I'm Anton Treuer. Let's keep in touch. I'm active on social media, and my website has lots of information on my books, speaking engagements, resources for the Ojibwe language, teachers, and more. Miigwech.